So you started off buying records, then you went to cassettes, then CDs came out. You got rid of all of those records and cassettes, and now here we are, and you're buying vinyl records again. Is it a ploy from the music industry, or is it just a indicator of how important music is in our life? How many times are we going to buy these albums over and over again? We will discuss on this episode, Talking About Records. My name is G.I. Sanders from NTX Vinyl, a small chain of independent record shops in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. If you're not local, but you are in the U.S., you can shop online anytime with us at ntxvinyl.com. And of course, would love it if you'd subscribe here to our YouTube channel. Follow us across social media on Facebook and Instagram at NTX Vinyl is the handle. Another topic that, like a lot of the kind of discussion points I bring to the table here, the genesis of this comes from online chatter, right? And a lot of that is from the Now Spinning group in the NTX Vinyl world. If you're not familiar with Now Spinning, it is a fantastic community on Facebook that we sponsor. You can get there via going to ntxnowspinning.com. So this is a topic that came up from the group. The idea of collectors like myself and like yourself that have I don't want to say been forced, because you haven't been forced, but you have opted to purchase an album multiple times. Now, I'm not necessarily talking about variants, but that's kind of in this conversation because there are different variants, whether it be colored variants, which is a very popular thing today to collect different colors of albums that come out, or even different pressings. That's certainly a thing. But really what I'm talking about here is different formats. And like I said in the intro, I have talked to so many people over the years who, they had a record collection in the 70s or 80s. They transitioned into cassettes, and then CDs were the big ones. So many people just completely got rid of their either records and or cassettes and replaced them all with CDs. And now here we are, and people are going back and rebuying those same records that they either threw out or gave away or sold 20, 30, 40 years ago. It's a little defeating, and I feel for people who are going through this, and I like I'm telling you, I've talked to a lot of people who are in this scenario. But I think the talking point here is not so much like, well, I wish the music industry would stop making us buy things over and over. And it's more about like, man, you can just tell how much music means to people. If you're willing to buy an album 3, 4, 5, 10 times across different formats, or maybe it's different pressings, different variants, like it really speaks to the validity and the validity of music and how much these specific albums mean to people like you and I. And I think that's really the overarching concept here, is that this isn't the music industry pulling a bait and switch on us, although you could maybe have a discussion in there around CDs. But really, it's just about the evolution of technology and different formats and different eras being either the preferred option, or in some cases, nostalgia just being such a heavy idea for people like myself who are in the middle of their life, and it's so much fun to look back at what it used to be, about how we used to enjoy music. And again, that's where for myself, collecting a vinyl LP in its large format and putting it on my shelf as a part of a larger collection, owning that record, and then actually getting to experience it by holding it and dropping the needle on it and all those types of things. The experience of owning and playing a record far outweighs, for me personally, any other format. But there's a lot of people who are just as nostalgic about CDs or cassettes or maybe even 8-tracks, right? And again, there's people I know personally, and you probably know, or maybe you are a person who actually own certain albums across all of those different formats. Maybe you've become a collector, a multi-format collector, but in a lot of cases, I think most people, again, they lost their collection. It's another rebuying it. And, it's crazy, I think, from an outsider's point of view to look at this and go, you're telling me you've bought, the record of, Led Zeppelin 3, whatever it may be. You've bought that record 5 times. You used to own the cassette. You probably owned several CD copies. You probably bought a digital version. You've got the box set. Like, that just seems crazy to a lot of people. But if you love music and you really love a specific album and it's got meaning to you, and there are memories tied up in that music, maybe there are people in your life that are tied up in that album or in a specific song even, it's really not that crazy. It doesn't feel that crazy to me. Does it feel that crazy to you? Like, I'm sure there's going to be people who are watching this who only stream music and think records are a fad, and don't collect anything from a physical standpoint, and they're gonna call us crazy. They really are. And I think part of it is we probably are crazy, but I think part of it is just how much specific albums and artists and music means to people. I know that's why I collect. I know that's why I prefer a physical format. Ownership of it is big. But yeah, I mean, every time I have one of these conversations, a lot of times it's in one of my shops or it's all, like I said, in an online group. And there are people who are legitimately rebuilding their collection. Sometimes it's because they lost it, fire or flood, which is a terrible thing. But in most cases, it's just because they moved on, and in the mid 80s, CDs came out. They were convenient. They seemed like they were far superior from a sound perspective. Debatable, highly debatable. And now they're having to rebuy them again, like I said. So it's frustrating to hear. It's also very interesting to hear, and I'd love to hear your experience. If you're one of those who is having to rebuy your record collection after all these years, I'd love to hear how that's going, what it's been like. Obviously, times have changed a lot. If you were originally buying records in the, let's say, late 70s or early 80s, when vinyl was really the predominant format, obviously things have changed a lot. Now you can buy online. Hopefully you have many local stores to choose from, even though that's going to be way different than it was back then when they were on every corner. So what's that experience like? How has it been? Has it been a frustration? Has it been exciting? Has it been nostalgic to go back through and buy all these records that you used to own previously? My gut says it probably has been a pretty interesting journey, and I'd love to hear that experience from any of you out there. So there you go. That's the topic for today on Talking About Records. My name is G.I. Sanders, and we will see you again next time.